Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
This is Chris Watt of Fire Follows, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather, and as always, I am bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a privilege to have Mr. Chris Watt. He's the singer-songwriter of Fire Follows. Fire Follows has released their debut EP, If It's War You Want, via Pavement Entertainment, out now. Chris, my man, how's it going?
Doing great, brother. How are you?
Doing awesome. Glad to have you on the show like I said previously, and congratulations on all this, man, because you've overcome some stuff here which we're going to dive into and talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
How's it been working with Pavement Entertainment so far?
It's been awesome, man. Actually, I just got off the phone with Tim, the VP over there, Tim King, and the EP just came out, about 3.5 weeks ago, and so we're just kind of running through everything. It's still so early on, but just the traction and the momentum that it's already picking up is it's pretty incredible, man. So I'm looking forward to continuing to work with those guys.
And that's awesome, man. You got Tim. If anybody doesn't know who Tim is, he's a bassist from Soil. So to have him to acknowledge you and want you on his record label, that stands out, man, for sure. Yeah,
no question, man. And right when he heard the music, I mean, he had some incredibly positive stuff to say, and they've got some of the bands on that lineup. Flaw is a huge inspiration for me. I mean, I found those guys, they're one of the bands that got me into the hard rock stuff, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was. So to be on the same label with bands like that is pretty amazing.
2008, you're singing for the hard rock group Author. You began experiencing severe problems with your singing and speaking. You've seen many vocal specialists and doctors, and they determined that you had a partially paralyzed vocal cord. How devastated were you, and did this allow you to grow as a musician with this setback, looking back on it, and did it motivate you even more? Yeah,
to answer the first part of that, it was the most devastating thing that could have possibly happened. I memean, music, and especially singing, and the way that sort of my career was going at that point, it was everything. And then for that, it happened so quickly. It was like overnight, everything kind of changed. And so, just a brutal blow, I guess. But, it absolutely transformed what I do, and it gave me an opportunity to reflect. I mean, there were periods of time, especially after they'd done some of the surgeries, in which, I couldn't even speak. And so I would just literally go for weeks. I get one stint, I think it was a couple months without saying a word. And so it gives you a lot of time to reflect, which is good and bad, I suppose. But, I've always kind of been a multi-instrumentalist, but when the voice goes, it sort of forces you to pour some time into becoming a better guitarist and a better keyboardist and a better drummer. And then, of course, getting everything going on the instrumental stuff. It was very transformative in that way. So looking back, there's a lot of positives that came out of it. Would I want to do it again? Hell no. but there's definitely some good shit that came out of it, man.
And look at it this way, man. Look at Tom Kiefer. He experienced the same thing as you.
Yeah.
Did it cross your mind that this could be it for your music career going through that, man?
Basically, yeah. It seems like, for the most part, I mean, I didn't know how I was ever going to get the voice back because I had that paralysis. And the other thing is I've got Tourette's, which adds this kind of crazy neurologic component to it. And so these docs and these specialists I was seeing, there's a number of things that they can do, but what they had never seen before was this kind of combination of things that were really just kind of, wreaking havoc on the voice and on my ability to speak and sing. And so, yeah, it was 5-6 years there where there was just no light at the end of the tunnel. It just kind of you're stuck with it. We'll see if it ever comes back, sort of thing. And eventually I ended up working with a woman that I had done some voice stuff with years and years and years ago. We connected, and she's a world-class opera singer. And when I came to her, I could barely talk, and she just said, "Look, Chris, I don't know what we're going to do, but I think if we just, pour everything we've got into this, then who knows? Like, we might as well try it, right? Because otherwise you're just going to stay in the same position." So she and I worked together, I don't even know how many hours over the course of 2, 3, 4 years. And we had to kind of reinvent it, but eventually got it back. So it's just kind of an incredible journey, brutal, but, here we are, right? So.
Yeah, sure. And plus, you've got something to prove from this, man, because look like I said, this is not easy to overcome. And again, this is something that I feel you have to prove to people and yourself,
Yeah, well, that's like Loaded Gun, for example. I know we were just talking about that song, but there's one of the lines in there is like, hell yeah, I got something to prove.
Yeah, for sure.
At some point, there's a lot left on the table,
What's impressed or excited you the most, Chris, about making the debut EP, if anything? What's impressed or excited you, if anything?
The making, like I engineer and produce all of it here at my home studio. So, for me, just to get a full song out, because I am, orchestrating all the parts and then doing all the engineering and production and everything else, it takes a long time. And so just getting a 5-song EP that I'm really pumped about put together, it's pretty exciting. And then part of that is just growing as an engineer and as a producer as I'm going through all this stuff. I'm already moving into the next EP and trying to make that one better than the last one. And so the whole process for me is, I absolutely love it, and I just love growing and doing all these different variables, all these different elements of creating these songs and these albums.
Do you like the EP route versus the full length?
For sure, man. I think, and I know there's probably some people that would vehemently disagree with this, but in the modern digital age, I don't know that there's a good reason to be releasing full-length albums, since they're not really coming out on CDs anymore. To me, especially the way that I engineer and produce this stuff, I really want to release stuff in like clusters of 3, 4, 5, smaller increments like that. It gives me something, I guess, that's, I don't know, I can bite. It's a more manageable bite to chew for me, than trying to actually sit down and produce a full 10-song record. And in doing it that way, you can also get content out more frequently to the fans that actually want to hear it, rather than making them wait, 2+ years or whatever it might be for a full length. So, releasing, like I said, 3, 4, 5 clusters seems like a pretty good number to me right now.
Now, you've released the official music video for Loaded Gun. Was it hard to choose between the current set of this 5-track EP? Which one would be the first single, let alone a video, or was it hands down Loaded Gun?
Man, it's funny you asked that. When I released this, or when I put all the EP together, my favorite song on there, I think, was, at the time anyway, If It's War You Want. And ironically, that's one that most people haven't given as much attention to as some of the others. But right when I put it out and I showed it to some friends and family and, some industry people, Loaded Gun was the one that everyone was immediately drawn to. And so it's just that initial kind of reaction that everybody has where you go, all right, this is probably the song that if someone picks this EP up, at least first and foremost, this is the song that they're going to gravitate towards. And so I just tried to listen to people that I trust and respected. And I can get so insulated sitting here in my studio that I lose perspective pretty quickly. So tuning into the outside, it's important for me.
Who directed the music video Loaded Gun? Did you also do this as well?
No. I have zero video skills whatsoever, man. It's a group up in Denver called Creation Films. It's with a K, Kreation Films. So everyone go check them out. But it's Jason Lieber, and then he had another producer with him there named Leland Schmidt. And I sent Jason the song and said, hey, look, here's my concept. He went, dude, I've got it. Got a perfect idea. We'll go to this location, shoot these shots. The chick that's in the video, I actually never even met her. She shot on a different day. But, man, when he sent me the first edit of that thing, which is basically where it's at right now, I was just like, yep. Cut it and print it. I couldn't believe what an unbelievable job he did with it.
Is this the first time working with him, or have you worked with him previously?
It's the first time working with him. He and I used to race dirt bikes together when we were younger, and so I knew him a little bit from that. We didn't have a super extensive relationship, but that was the reason that I reached out, is kind of through this moto community out here in Colorado. But I'd seen some of his work, but it was the first time that I actually did anything with him.
Could you see yourself working with him again, possibly?
Oh, hell yeah. I was actually talking with Tim about that earlier today, possibly doing a second video for another one of the songs on the EP. And if we end up going that route, yeah, I'll be up there with Creation Film shooting another one then.
Now, you talked about this a little bit earlier, that you like to produce your own music. Do you like having the control and the time when you want to do it versus, say, having that outside ear like a producer?
I tell you what, I like doing it right now because at the stage that I'm at my career, you know, I don't have access to what I would consider like those super top end, those guys that are just cranking out hits all day, every day. And so if I could ever get in with somebody like that I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt could take what I'm bringing to the table and enhance it, I'd love to go that direction. For now, though, maybe I'm too much of a control freak, but I just really know what I want everything to sound like. I know the direction I want to go with it. And even though it can be more, you know, tedious and time consuming because I'm trying to wear all the hats, at least at the moment, I think this is the best way to keep going about it. I hope long term I don't have to. It's already burning me out a little bit, but I'm going to keep cranking away, man, because like I said, I love doing it.
Who did the cover art or photo for this album for you?
So the photos I got done years ago when I was doing kind of a separate music project, and I'm spacing the guy's name right now, but the actual like cover artwork and everything else was just done through like a logo tournament. I don't know if that was the actual online platform that I used, but I basically just uploaded the photo and then said, here's what I'm looking for an album cover. And then it submits, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of artists from around the world that basically submit their designs, and then you can kind of just whittle it down to the one you want. So it was just one of those online, you know, platforms where basically a bunch of submissions from artists everywhere.
Chris, what do you hope everyone takes away from this EP, or message you hope they hear while listening to it, or just any of Fire Follows music in general? What do you hope they get from it?
I hope they can hear how raw and sort of real all of the lyrics are. You know, I hope musically they find it to be incredibly compelling and dynamic. But, you know, first and foremost, I guess I hope they hear a message of hope that comes out of it. That in spite of everything that I've experienced, no matter what they're experiencing, that if you just keep working towards what you want, if you never give up, you know, you can have it. You just got to keep grinding for it. So I think that's kind of a central theme throughout the EP and basically through everything that I write. So, yeah.
When you start to work on a new album, do you like to do anything differently during that writing and recording process? I know that's two different concepts, but to maybe help keep your mind fresh and open to not get bored or not let the music get stale, do you do anything that helps you out?
You know, the one thing that I try to do every time I go into a new project is get like a new piece of gear. So I just bought this Kemper profiling amp that I'm gonna, on the new EP that I'm using for the guitars. It's friggin' awesome, man. And then, you know, I'll try to do some different stuff in terms of the way I'm engineering or the way I'm mixing it. Like I'll find a band that I really like. I've been listening to a lot of Trivium lately, and then Skillet just came out with some new stuff. And I'm just trying to get some ideas from how they put all that together and implement that, or, you know, sort of weave that into this new album. So, you know, grabbing some new gear, finding some new musical influences, at least from a mix and production standpoint, is super important for me to kind of, you know, keep myself motivated.
So what can fans expect at a show from you when they come out to see you live? What are they going to get?
Well, so I haven't done a single live performance yet. I'm in the process right now of putting a band together because I, you know, play and produce everything. It's the only thing I can really do right now is go do some loop pedal stuff, which I guess I've done a few of those in the past, you know, handful of years. But once we do get the live show together, based on what we've done so far with these guys and girls I'm bringing in, it's just going to be a big sound. That's the best way I can explain it. We're going to run a lot of backing track because of all the instrumentation, all of the orchestration, the keyboards, the synth elements that are in the music. You know, those elements won't necessarily be played on stage. Those will be run through the backing tracks, and then, of course, all the primary instruments will be played. So the goal is just to have an absolute wall of sound that's hyper melodic, but that's also still very hard rock, very metal. Yeah, just big sound, I guess, man.
We're living in the digital era of recording albums to get music out quicker. Now we've got social media to reach out to more folks who've not got to hear of Fire Follows music as of yet. Do you like this that we're living in now, or no?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's got some massive advantages. I've never been a big social media guy. If I didn't have to be on it, I wouldn't be. But in terms of a tool, of course, to reach out to new fans, prospective fans, and keep in touch with current ones, I mean, it's invaluable. So it's to me, it's kind of a necessary evil. You know, I try to spend as little time with it as I have to, but at the end of the day, it's part of the game. So, you know, I do what I got to do, I guess.
Chris, what made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you, man, that said, yeah, I want to do that, or at least try it?
I come from a musical family. So my dad's an incredible drummer. My mom is a great pianist, singer, songwriter. So from a super young age, 3, 4, 5 years old, I was already singing and kind of messing around with the keyboards and everything else. And then, wasn't doing a whole lot, I guess, through the early years. But I tell you, man, when I hit high school and I discovered bands like Flaw, and I remember the song Poem by Taproot came out, and Breaking Benjamin, I just hadn't heard anything like it before. It was just, these were such melodic songs, that were basically primarily singing driven with this huge metal sound behind it. And it was at that point that I went, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to create music that sounds just like this. And that's to some extent what I'm still striving to do.
I haven't heard anybody mention on this show in a very long time of Taproot. And I'm glad you mentioned Taproot. I'm glad there's other folks out there that have not forgot about them.
Yeah.
Taproot was fucking amazing.
They were amazing, man. And it bums me out because I was going through that Blue Sky Research album that they put out, and God, I don't even know, it probably would have been like 05, 06, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's one of those albums that you can just front to back, just press play on. Yep. And every song on that album was absolutely incredible. And he's got a cool voice too, man. I mean, honestly, some of the things that he does vocally with a lot of his vibrato trails at the end of his lines, I try to implement some of that type of vocal styling in my stuff as well. So still a huge Taproot fan.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, and I hear people say this, and they'll say, no, we don't say that. Yes, you do, folks, because I see it all the time. They hate on Deftones a lot because of Chino's live performance and his vocals and stuff. But when I listen to their albums, his voice is phenomenal. I mean, it fits perfectly. Like, I listen to their B-sides a lot. They did Simple Man by Leonard Skinner, of all people. They knocked it out of the ballpark.
I'm going to have to go check that out because obviously Shinedown's cover of Simple Man, it's incredible. And I'm sure the Deftones one is equally as awesome. So I've never heard it. I'll have to go check that out.
Now, it's got the Deftones twist on it now. It's not heavy or anything. It's kind of like a slower down pace.
Sure.
Even a little bit slower down than Shinedown's acoustic version, So,
yeah.
It's still good.
Yeah.
So that's just me personally, folks. That, teaches their own.
Yeah.
Is there a country, man, that stands out or shocks you that you've seen that you get support from, or your music even gets played in that country or area possibly?
The one that seems to pop up a lot is Germany, which is really interesting. I was talking to Tim about some of this earlier, Tim over at Pavement, about possibly doing more of a push into some of the European countries. But I've gotten a lot of reaction out of Germany, which has been pretty cool so far. I mean, God, if I could get some traction over there and go do a European tour, I'd be there in a heartbeat. So we'll kind of see how this continues to play out over the next few months in terms of the release. But yeah, Germany, I guess, so far.
We talked about Flaw, we talked about Taproot, and we talked about Shinedown. Is there a band on the bucket list that you would like to tour with, or maybe even do an old school album split with? Who would you like to hear sing your songs, cover your songs, possibly, man?
Oh, man. God, we talked about Shinedown. I mean, to me, Brent Smith is the best in the business from a vocalist perspective. I think the band that I'd probably want to hear, God, I don't know. I mentioned them earlier. It would probably be Breaking Benjamin. I think that Ben Burnley, they've had a lot of different guys in and out of that band over the years. I mean, there's been a couple constants, I think, but for the most part, Ben is so, from what I can tell, obviously I've never met him, but he just seems like such a talented dude. It seems like these albums come out of him so quickly. And so I think if you put one of my songs in his hands, he would just do it in classic, Ben Burnley style and just make a pretty epic Breaking Benjamin version of it, man. So I don't know. But like I said, Shinedown, Trapped, any of these guys, any of these hard, heavy rock bands, man, I think would do a pretty incredible job with it.
Yeah, Breaking Benjamin, I think, doesn't have a bad album out there, in my opinion.
No, I agree, and I think that's why they've been able to do it for so long. And great bands do this. I mean, every album has a different, kind of a different sound to it. But At the end of the day, it's all the same. They're incredibly true to themselves. You'd never hear a song and think, oh, that's outside of the realm of what these guys do. No, there's a very Breaking Benjamin sound, and they just continue to pivot, in my opinion, with each album and make sure that they stay modern, I guess. The most recent one they released compared to, I think it was Saturate, was the first one they put out like 20 years ago. Very distinctly different albums, but still very Breaking Benjamin.
Folks, you want to get out and pick up Fire Follows debut EP. If it's War You Want, via Pavement Entertainment.
Yep.
It's out now. Chris, how can folks stay in touch with you, buy some merchandise, tour dates when you do go on tour, things like that? How can they do that, my friend?
Sure. Just all the main social media outlets, of course. You just look up Fire Follows on Facebook, Instagram. They can go to the website, firefollows.com. My email's on there. It's info@firefollows.com. Welcome to shoot me an email whenever. And then, yeah, I guess wherever else you can find me.
And also, before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Absolutely. This is Chris Watt of Fire Follows, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey, everybody, stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our YouTube link, podcast link, and hopefully soon our Twitch link. Also, get out and check out Fire Follows and give Chris a big shout out and give him a chance, folks. You will definitely love some of his music he's got out there. Give him a chance. Chris, my friend, I wish you the best of luck, and I don't have a doubt in my mind that you're going to do some awesome stuff, man.
John, I so appreciate it, man. Thank you for that.
No problem.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.